Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, the drivers of the Tobacco Road Cup Series decided to pack up their old Kentucky home, and they're coming to the Glen. We are live here from beautiful virtual Watkins Glen here tonight for the Tobacco Road Cup Series. 45 laps around Dega. It's week 4, and as always, I am your voice up here in the booth, Mac Nelson, on comms and the producing with my broadcast partner, Emmett Crow, in my passenger seat here. It's going to be one heck of a show. And Emmett, you were doing some scouting, you were doing some watching when we were in practice and qualifying. What'd you see out there, and what'd you notice, and what are you taking away from those sessions?
Well, first off, Mac, thank you. Welcome in. Looking at how this race is playing out, I'll tell you who looks like to be the guy of the field right now, and that's Mr. Blake Cannon, that 44 machine. But also, you got to look out for Nate Lesko. Lesko looked good. We've seen a couple guys having trouble with the bus stop and, carrying that speed into turn 1. A couple guys been getting loose. So expect that, but yeah, I'm excited about this race tonight here at the Glen.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one for sure. I don't think anybody here would discredit that at all. Heading into our outlook, we are in week number 4 of 20, so tonight marks 1/5 of the way through the season. We are at Watkins Glen, as you can see. Next week, we are heading to Bristol, however, going to be asphalt Bristol, not the dirt version that iRacing came out with a couple years back. We are going to the good old asphalt racing surface there at Bristol, but I want to talk about here at the Glen. It's 7 turns. We're doing the normal, NASCAR layout with the bus stop. I know it's popular in a lot of leagues to run the no bus stop layout. We are doing the bus stop here tonight, 45 laps, 7 turns, and in these NASCAR Next Gen boats, I like to call them, Emmett, you touched on it earlier, slowing these cars down to make the corner is going to be the test.
Yeah, and then I just want to add, as Gary Braylon's going through the drivers' meeting, Scott Matthews, James Johnson, Chris Toppings all will serve drive-through penalties after the start for the penalties from last week at Kentucky. They're going to throw a stage break at lap 15, Mac, and then also there will not be full course caution. They will do full course cautions, but some of them will not be full course cautions as well.
Great news to hear. We have a blazing 106 degree track temperature here. It's almost 80 degrees air temperature. So we're going to go through the starting lineup here for tonight's race. In P1, your pole sitter going to be Blake Cannon with James McRae on the outside of him. P3 going to be Brandon Lopez with P4 being GT Irizarry. Row 3 consists of Billy Jordan and Travis Everett. P7 going to be Gary Braylon with P8 being the 77 Quantum Motorsports driver of Casey Gross. P9 going to be Chad Lancaster with P10 Thomas McLaughlin. P11 will go to Nate Lesko. P12 is going to go to Brandon McLaughlin. P13 will be Brad Harris with the Portuguese Jonathan Pereira in P14. Johnny Thunders in P15. Scott Matthews in P16. Row 9 will be Adolfo Castillo and James Johnson in the 48. Row 10, Chris Toppings and Joe Bonner, part of LNG Power Sports there. And row 11, rounding out the grid, is going to be Chris Perry. So very, very excited to get things kicked off here. And before we get started, just one thing I do want to say here. Big shout out to Apex Sim Racing as you get our race coverage there. A little recap before we start. Shout out to Apex Sim Racing, I should say. I apologize. Use code RacerNexus for 5% off any of the sim racing accessories you need. Also, shout out to TrackCams for Gourmets. That's trackcams22.com. They provide all the car and track cameras you see here tonight and across all of the Racer Nexus broadcast. It's going to be one heck of a show. And it all starts with the initial start. Blake Cannon, my partner Emmett Crow, said it. He said it's going to be the Blake Cannon show. There's a very, very good chance of it. He'll have the opportunity to show us here as we open things up. 45 laps at the Glen. Blake Cannon into the restart zone. We are green here at the Glen. And it's going to be a
look at that. Already having trouble.
Going to be a wide range of things go on. Adolfo Castillo kind of getting tossed around there in the early corners. We head on to the straight for the first time here tonight. Everybody looks to be in single file line. It's not until we get back to about P8 where we're watching, where it becomes 3 wide, and it's going to be the 99 of Gary Braylon and the 13 of Travis Everett, and there's cars everywhere. Brandon McLaughlin's going to get banged up a little. The 69, I believe that's Adolfo Castillo again. The number 5, I believe the number 22 of Joe Bonner might have made it out safely. That's going to be a lot to digest. We'll have to go back and take a look at that. So this is Thomas McLaughlin coming into the bus stop here, and it looked like he carried just way too much speed, as you can see. Just not wanting to get on the, not wanting to get on the brakes.
Sorry to cut you off there, Mac, but big wreck involving Brandon McLaughlin and Gary Braylon.
Yeah, we'll go back and take a look. Brandon McLaughlin in P16. Yeah, he's going to get into the 12 of Chris Toppings, I believe. And then also, yeah, like you said, the 99 of Gary Braylon going to get himself collected and involved. So not exactly how the race needed to begin for those drivers, but it's looking very good for the likes of Blake Cannon and James McRae. They are out in front of the rest of the grid. The 44 of Blake Cannon boasting an impressive 8/10 of a second lead over James McRae. And that's going to be Brandon Lopez in the number 5 Camaro. He's going to be very, very heavy going into turn number 6. And now Chad Lancaster. Yeah, the 20 Camry of Nate Lesko coming into turn number 1 now. He is starting his 3rd lap of the night. That's going to surely be track limits. I'm not entirely sure if NASCAR operates on different track limits than, you know, the traditional spec road course or road series. But that looked to definitely be some sort of track limits. We're not sure. We're going to have to maybe get an update on that. But Brad Harris in front of Nate Lesko's 20. He is looking to drive that Camaro up into maybe the top 5. Brad Harris, that Quack Pack driver. And he's someone that it seems like, Emmett, you've always kind of got your eye on. What, in a few words or in a few sentences, how would you encapsulate how it is that Brad Harris drives the race car?
Well, you know, we go back last year at Talladega, and Brad Harris was able to win the crazy races. Gary Braylon hits the wall hard, as Braylon's serving his coming down for some, probably just to get some damage fixed. But yeah, just to touch on Brad Harris, I mean, he likes to win, and he's going to do whatever it takes to win. He's very aggressive, but on the good aggressive, you know, not dirty aggressive, but very good driver is Brad Harris for sure.
Yeah, that number 9 driver, he has unfortunately lost a little bit of a position battle to the 69 Camry of Adolfo Castillo. He currently sits 8 positions higher than what he started. Started this race in P17, able to drive it to P9, so very, very good stuff from him. Another guy that is on the move, Joe Bonner in that number 22. That LNG's power washing owner, Joe Bonner in the 22. We appreciate him for hopping on board the series and becoming a sponsor. Go check out LNG's power washing if you need any power washing work done. There's the business card. We'll flash it throughout the night. But Joe Bonner, the Millersburg, Pennsylvania driver, looking to take that number 22 all the way to the top. He's got to find some pace. Yeah, what's that?
Yeah, I was going to say, Nate, let's go on pit road. Probably just trying to fix that damage because he hit the wall a ton, you know, a couple laps ago. But Blake Cannon has just been, you know, jumps out to a 1.9 second lead over James McRae. And, you know, Mac, this is looking like the Blake Cannon show, possibly.
Yeah, I agree. Blake Cannon absolutely driving right now. He's only got an 800th of a second faster lap than the 27 of James McRae. However, those practice times were very, very consistent. He was running in the same 2 to 3/10 bracket for almost the entirety of the practice. So just the consistency for Blake Cannon. He has got this thing on rails right now, and it is showing.
Yeah, and he was fast. I mean, in practice, he was second quickest, where James McRae was fastest. But then he must have found something out because in qualifying, he picked up and was able to take home that pole award over James McRae. So, I mean, you know, we talked to him last week, he finished second last week?
Yes.
And he was telling us he wanted that win so bad. And what a bigger way to get that win. You know, a new driver in this league, and he's really showing that he's the guy to beat on these road courses.
Yeah, another guy doing particularly well. We kind of figured it was going to happen. GT Irizarry, the Somerville, South Carolina driver. He is always good. You can catch him in the GT4 series occasionally as well. That runs on Sundays. He is just... He's a good driver. He's a very good driver. He controls the car well. He knows how to transfer the weight. He knows how to set the car. He's just an all-around driver. On ovals, he uses that knowledge. He uses, you know, knowledge. I hate to use the same word again, but knowledge about the car and just those weight transfer points. It's just every single stage of the corner, as you can see as he takes turn 1 there. His car is just in complete control at all times. You know, a lot of people say that to be fast in sim racing, you've got to constantly be on the limit. You've constantly got to be spinning those back tires, trying to get a neutral slide out of your car. But GT Irizarry is proving that that is not entirely the case.
Yeah, and you know, it was interesting with the lap machine of Chris Toppings in the middle of this group, but now James McRae able to get around with an unbelievable move on Toppings, but he's still got to make up 4 seconds to catch up to Blake Cannon.
Yeah, James McRae in the number 27 Cinema Roll Camry. He is always strong. He managed to pick up a win in our opening race, if I'm not mistaken. I think he actually took the win at Daytona. I could be wrong, but I think he's a race winner here this season, and if not, he's extremely close every single time. I mean, he has got a top 5 car almost every single night out here, every single week, so very, very cool to see that skill also transferring to the road side of things. A lot of drivers you see on the iRacing official service are good maybe on the ovals, but not good on the roads, or maybe good on the roads and not good on the ovals. So it's very good to see a well-rounded driver. That's how you know he's about, you know, the grind. He's about the learning process, and he wants to be the best racer that he can be.
Yeah, he definitely does. And, you know, Blake Cannon, you know, going back to that Daytona race, he was sitting in the number 2 spot. Of course, got involved in that wreck when we came down to the nitty gritty. But yeah, I mean, James McRae won last year at Iowa. That really showed me that he had the speed and showed me what a great driver he was. And, you know, I can't remember. I'm doing some digging. I thought James Johnson won Daytona, Mac. I can't remember for sure. It's been a minute.
I think you might be right. I think James Johnson might have won Daytona. That does indeed sound right. But, you know, either way, the statement still stands. James McRae in the 27. He's got great pace every single time out. However, I would like to move to a Quantum Motorsports driver, the number 41 of Billy Jordan. You can see him whipping that purple and black Quantum 41 there. He is trying his best to get a move done on GT Irizarry, the driver we were just praising a couple minutes ago. But Billy Jordan is a guy that, you know, when you think of Quantum Motorsports drivers, you kind of think Casey Gross for being that top guy, as that's going to be a very shallow line into the bus stop. I'm very surprised that actually ended up working out for him. But yeah, Billy Jordan doing very good. I think he's exceeding expectations here today. And, you know, if he can continue this, if he can continue the run all the way through the race, that'll be one thing. But if he can continue this pace throughout the weeks here, as we wrap up the first half of the season starting next week, it's going to be very, very tricky when you have Quantum Motorsports drivers that are A, on the same page, and B, also sitting at the top of the grid.
Yeah, and I just want to add, Mac, I found it. James McRae, just want to say this first. James McRae won at, oh, man, and just like we were talking about it, Billy Jordan just went around. But what I was saying, I'm sorry, Johnny Thunders. They got the same color. But I just want to add that James McRae won at Iowa this year in the second race. So you were right about the season, but I believe I thought maybe he did win this year, but it was at Iowa.
Okay. Well, very good. Big shout out to broadcast partner Emmett Crow for being our Jamie, I guess you could say, if you're a fan of the JRE. Our resident looker upper.
I got you.
So very, very good. Very, very awesome on part of Emmett there. And we're going to move down the grid just a little bit. We're going to talk about a driver who, unfortunately, hasn't had things go exactly his way all season, but there have been a lot of bright spots last season and this season for the number 13 of Travis Everett.
Yeah, and I just want to say, GT Irizarry goes around, and then Castillo just hit him in the back, but it looked like Billy Jordan, who we were just talking about, Mac, went around with GT Irizarry just a second ago.
Oh, yeah, big hit on the rejoin there for GT Irizarry. Very, very poor luck there. And those two drivers, yeah, the 14 and the 41, the backwards numbers, I was just praising them, and they unfortunately had to get into each other. But go ahead, Emmett, what you were saying.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Adolfo Castillo not happy with GT Irizarry right there, as Irizarry's apologizing. But, yeah, Adolfo not taking it too lightly.
Yeah, so the Quantum Motorsport driver of Adolfo Castillo from San Juan, Texas, he is going to be the QM driver who gets maybe a little bit of bad luck here tonight. Also, I believe Johnny Thunders, yes, is the number 60. He is another Quantum Motorsports driver. So 2 guys towards the top, 2 guys towards the bottom. Very, very unlucky for Quantum Motorsports. You know they always would love if they could get all 4 of their drivers into the top 10 or top 12 or so. Nate Lesko in the number 20 Nesquik Camry. He has found his way back up to P10 after having to serve the penalty. Brandon McLaughlin following close behind. He is going to get very, very squirmy understeer as he heads into turn number 6. And around turn number 7, he's going to take things a little slower, a little more cautiously. Because obviously, when you lock up those tires, especially on the NASCAR Next Gen, it's going to be a couple corners before your car feels, or before the tires, I should say, feel normal again. So that's going to be the biggest, adaptability test that these drivers face here tonight.
Yeah, and the pit, want to add that the pit road is closed as we're coming to 2 laps to go in this stage.
Yeah, so the stage break coming at lap 15. Blake Cannon towards your front, boasting a very
Casey
impressive.
Gross goes off course.
Boasting a very impressive 9-second lead over James McRae in the 27. Casey Gross and James Johnson are going to be our closest battles on track right now. It's going to be about a 0.2 of a second gap for Casey Gross over James Johnson, but James Johnson's got the momentum. Coming into turn number 6, he's later on the brakes. He's going to head around the inside, and it's going to be the move done for James Johnson. So with stage 1 coming to an end here very, very shortly, James Johnson gets another spot heading up towards the top.
Yeah, great move by James Johnson. Now he's got his eyes set on. Sorry, for a second I lost the car. Brandon McLaughlin. Car going around. I couldn't see who that was.
Looks like it might be Chris Perry. We'll come take a look. The Washington, North Carolina driver in the number 34 there. Yeah, just a little too much steering input as he's on the brakes heading around in turn number 6.
I tell you, Mac, it's hard to keep up with all this action going on this track with all the spins and the wrecks and, trying to catch it with the delay of the session and everything. And I hate that I'm over talking to you, but there's been so much happening on this track.
No, you're fine, Emmett, as we've got Blake Cannon here, almost completed his 14th lap. He heads around the bus stop for the 14th time here tonight. He is just insane pace for the guy. I mean, he's almost a full second faster than the rest of the grid last lap. And he has got...
Scott Matthews goes around in the bus stop.
Yeah, Scott Matthews in the 7 here in the Camaro. Yeah, he's going to take the bus stop a little too crazily. A little too much speed as he heads into there. That's going to be him going around. Blake Cannon now on lap 15. I'm sure they'll throw the yellow when he completes lap 15. I'm not sure why they haven't thrown it yet. Maybe they're trying to get everyone on lap 15. But the only problem is Blake Cannon is driving that number 44 so fast that he might actually catch a lap car here. He might catch the 22 of Joe Bonner here before they get back to the line. So Blake Cannon...
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead, Emmett.
They just threw it. They just threw the caution. But I was going to say, that's what they were telling. They said that Chris Toppings came over before the race, and he said he'll either throw it after he completes lap 15 to tell him, or if there's a big wreck, he'll throw it before.
So nice that we now have the intel. Caution flag has been thrown. Stage number 1 is over, and who else than Blake Cannon? He had a 13-second lead over James McRae before the caution flag did indeed come out. So now Blake Cannon's next objective is to find that pace car. Who knows where it's going to be? But it's going to be Blake Cannon, James McRae, Brandon Lopez, Billy Jordan, Travis Everett, your top 5, Brad Harris in P6, GT Irizarry down to P7, Nate Lesko in P8, Chad Lancaster in P9, and James Johnson in the 48 Camaro will round out your top 10. And while we pause for this stage break, I apologize, Emmett, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with the Tobacco Road Cup Series here shortly.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
There might be some rain coming through. We expect rain soon. Rain is close. The session has been declared wet. No sign of this rain stopping. Rain is clearing up. Rain should be gone for now. Nothing but sunshine all day.
Well, I hate to bring you guys in so late to the function, but when there's a yellow flag and it's a road course like Watkins Glen, you got a little minute. You got a minute to relax. And as we head around, lights on the pace car should be going out, as we'll do one more lap here around Watkins Glen. Lights are actually still on in the pace car, so interesting to see. We'll see if race control gets that changed. But Emmett, we're through stage number 1 here. What shines to you as, the glaring factor of this race? And, if you had to pick a driver to kind of change their strategy on, who do you think it would be?
I think it's going to be, I mean, let's be honest. If James McRae's been there, but I mean, Blake Cannon has just been unbelievable tonight.
Yeah, he's been very, very good. Blake Cannon he's got this road course in this next-gen car down to a science. It's going to be very, very fun to see what he can do here as we start stage number 2.
Yeah, this is and they're going to try to wave these lap cars, Mac, as Gary Braylon just came on and said Chris and whoever else is up there. I couldn't tell who else was up there, but he said, y'all go ahead and pass the pace car so y'all can catch the field and get them all stacked up so that we don't have to deal with that coming to green.
Yeah, very good. Very proactive race controlling from our staff here at the Tobacco Road Sim Racing Next Gen Cup Series. And once again, a big shout out to TrackCams22. That's TrackCams for Gourmets. TrackCams22.com is their website. They provide all the car and track cameras that you see here and across all of the Racer NEXUS broadcast network. So big shout out to them for the best camera spots in the game. Also, big shout out to Apex Sim Racing, your one-stop shop for all your sim racing accessories and needs. Use code RacerNexus for 5% off, gives us a little kickback, supports us. It would mean a lot to us here as an organization. So on behalf of Racer Nexus Broadcast, we thank you if you do end up using that referral code. Looks like we might be going around one more time before we get started here. Lap 19 of 45. When the drivers take the green, it should be lap 20. So that means 26 laps to work. Emmett, what's the strategy if you're down in the grid? What's the strategy if you're up towards the top?
Well, if you're down towards the grid, you just got to survive. Because, I mean, we've seen some crazy action from the back. But if you're up front, like, say, you're James McRae or Brandon Lopez or even Travis Everett, you just want to maintain your stuff. And it's the hardest thing to do, Mac. You want to maintain your stuff, but make the guy ahead of you burn up his stuff so that you can make that pass to win the race.
Yeah, once again, I think it's going to be very, very cool, very, very interesting to see how these drivers not necessarily react, but how they cope with where they're sitting at after the stage break. I know when we do these stage breaks, when we have these restarts, these planned restarts, it seems like a lot of these drivers start to lull out maybe. They start to kind of get happy with where they're at. They start gaining a little bit of complacency, and then we don't really see them advance. So for a guy like Casey Gross, like Joe Bonner, like Billy Jordan, guys that know they're fast here, but unfortunately are just kind of on the bottom half of the grid, they've got to really wake up and get things started here quick.
Yeah, they definitely do. And they've done a great job. We see, Nate Lesko back up there after the hard contact, went on pit road. And that's the thing with these cautions, we're going to stack up the field. It's going to be interesting. I tell you, Mac, I hate to be a driver in the lead going into one because it's going to be like Greyhounds and Guineas out there for sure.
Yeah, these drivers are going to be carrying a lot of momentum. The iRacing pace car ducks off into the safety of the pit lane. We are green here again at Watkins Glen. Turn number 1 is going to be the X Factor spot here, as Brandon Lopez makes big contact with James McRae. That's going to be Brandon Lopez sent around. Billy Jordan, James McRae, big losers here. Brandon Lopez, Chris Topping's going to get hit. James Johnson as well. So much like we expected, it was a big amount of chaos heading into turn number 1. So single
Yeah,
file.
James McCray.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to add James McCray coming on there apologizing, but yeah, I mean that was wild right there, Mac.
Yeah, Brandon McLaughlin, Billy Jordan, 2 wide heading into the bus stop. Surprisingly enough, none of those drivers came out damaged from that little charade. Chad Lancaster's going to be able to get a very good view of this as the 81 and 41 are battling into the penultimate corner. Now they come take turn number 7 as they head around. Billy Jordan going to keep in the lead, and will that start a chain effect? Billy Jordan going very, very fast. Brandon McLaughlin has got to lock in if he wants to keep up with the 41. Whoa!
Yeah, definitely. As we see Gary Braylon go off course.
Yeah.
Man, that was a hard hit for Braylon.
Yeah, we'll go back and take a look at that. It seemed like coming down the front straight, maybe he just had a little bit of a lockup, chose to take the grass as his escape route. Yeah, he wanted to duck off into the inside at the same time that he hit the brakes. That's never going to work, Emmett.
Yeah, that's not going to work at all. You know, back on the old NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup, that's the move you do to win, to take the lead. You know, you just plow into the field, but not on iRacing. I mean, it's too, you know, too professionally enhanced, I guess you'd say. You know, the sim works different than rather than running on a console.
Yeah. Although we are almost, the engines are probably right around the same age. iRacing having to convert their engine over to a more modernized, a more sleek, more advanced series. You can see it now with the new aero models, the new tire models. It's all coming together so well.
Damage. Yeah, sorry, I did not mean, again, sorry. But Chris Toppings looked to have heavy damage, and he was slow right there. Never mind. I thought he did, but he was very slow. Maybe just letting him pass, trying to get the leaders out of the way.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe engine damage on the side of Chris Toppings or something, because, yeah, he seems to be going very, very slow, but he could have just been succeeding as well. That is very, very good driver-like, and obviously we know Gary Braylon, he is a defending champion here.
Wow, look at Let's Go.
As Nate Lesko, speaking of, in that 20 Nesquik Camry, has set your fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute 10 second .03. So chasing down Blake Cannon, he's got a 4/10 of a second gap to make up. Blake Cannon does get a better run coming out of turn number 7. So down the big and long front straight, it's going to be advantage Cannon into turn number 1. Lesko carrying a whole lot more speed, and he keeps taking this profound line that I thought would trigger track limits for sure, but Nate Lesko seemingly not caring. Either he's not getting punished or he's not caring as he's taking that very wide exit out of turn 1, and it seems to be helping him.
Yeah, it seems to be helping him, but just like you were saying, I don't think they had the track limits. I think NASCAR has different track limits because we've seen guys do that several times. So yeah, it's helping Lesko out run these fast laps. And you know, some of these sports car drivers are looking at that, and maybe they're thinking maybe IMSA, you know, being sanctioned, being owned by maybe IMSA or Formula One, telling them to do the same thing. But who knows, as they're seeing the lap times pick up with these cup cars.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And I mean, if that's the line that needs to be taken, that is the line. A driver I wanted to touch on, though, Emmett, the 69 of Adolfo Castillo, you said he got a little bit angry at the likes of GT Irizarry earlier. It caused him to have to go into the pits and actually get a little bit of a repair. So now Adolfo Castillo all the way back up into P3. If you could get inside the mind of the 69 of Adolfo Castillo, what's going through his mind right now?
Driving angry, you know, and that's why he's picked up so much, and that's going to help him get up to the lead if he can right here, as he is, you know, looking at the lap times. I mean, he's running some fast laps, but I mean, he's still 3/10 off.
Yeah, so Adolfo Castillo, although doing very, very good in comparison to the rest of the grid, he's still got a long way to go before he breaks into that top echelon of pace and really mimics Blake Cannon and Nate Lesko's pace.
Yeah, and Lesko just doing a great job. I mean, he is right there in the tire tracks, just hoping and praying. You know, I go back to 2008 where, no, not 2008, 2007. I had to think about it there for a minute, where Jeff Gordon was leading late at Watkins Glen and Tony Stewart was behind him in that 20 car, and Jeff Gordon wheel hopped it, and Tony Stewart went on to win the race.
Okay, very, very interesting. And honestly, I don't remember that year. That was from my weird kid phase where I was kind of just intaking everything, so I don't really remember much at all. I discovered what WWE was, and that changed my life, let me tell you. But yeah, I mean, those old Glen races as a kid, I remember, I mean, Tony Stewart was always great at them. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was nothing to sneeze at as well. Mark Martin. So, I mean, yeah, just seeing a track age so well like Watkins Glen, I mean, with the new breakthroughs, new technologies, it's really been really, really cool to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, Chase Elliott got his first career win here. With that iconic moment where Jimmy Johnson's pushing him when he ran out of fuel. But yeah, it's just... But like you said, you know, the iconic, you know, the Tony Stewart 2004 win, you know, where he was sick and had problems, but still won the race.
Yep.
Didn't go to victory lane.
And now we look at the 20 NESQUIC of, or the, the 20 Camry, the 20 NESQUIC Camry of Nate Lesko. My brain blanked when I had to say the word NESQUIC for whatever reason. Blake Cannon now in front of him, catching up to that lap car. That's Chris Perry. He has had a very rough go at things, also having a rough go at things, although trying to get around Chris Toppings, yes, for a position. This is for P17. It's going to be Jonathan Pereira, the Portuguese driver, in the 38. He is someone who is, you know, pretty good at road course racing, and he finds himself in P17, not able to find even within 2 seconds of leader's pace. So what in the world is going on for Jonathan Pereira?
Yeah, that's, it could be, you know, I mean, you'd think, you know, back in the day we had these road course ringers that came and ran these road races, both in the Cup Series and the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Finally got it right. But, you know, it just, I don't know. Maybe it's the car. Maybe the way the car feels to him or what.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could be. And something that I think is also very, very interesting to see is Brad Harris, who is staying in front of the 81 of Brandon McLaughlin. Brandon McLaughlin had a lot faster pace than Brad Harris, but for some reason, under race restrictions, Brandon McLaughlin is not really on the same pace that he was. We see him now trailing Brad Harris by 7.8 seconds, and just a few laps ago, it was like 3.5 or 4 seconds. So Brandon McLaughlin in a very, very bad rut right now.
Yeah, Brandon McLaughlin, excuse me, definitely in a bad rut. But, I mean, Brad Harris really showing that, I mean, you know, he's known as the super speedway driver in this league, but now he's really showing that as we see the starting grid come on. But
yeah, unfortunately, there was some
really
behind the scenes.
That he can run on any course.
Yeah, there's some behind the scenes stuff going on. I had to do a whole lot of things. I had to have a whole conversation with boss man Rob Campbell, incredible boss. Shout out to Rob Campbell. Had to change some things around. Had to hit a little refresh. So we should be good from here on out. 18 laps to go here at the Glen, and it's Blake Cannon who has now started to find a little bit of an advantage over Nate Lesko. He now holds a 1.9 second lead. Going back from Lesko, it goes Castillo, Irizarry, Harris, McLaughlin, McRae, Lopez, Johnson, and Lancaster. That is your top 10.
Yeah, but Blake Cannon, oh my gosh, he's just and now he's approaching lap traffic. That's going to help Lesko out, though, as he's chasing down Cannon, Mac. If it depends on if Cannon can get around the lap machine of Scott Matthews right here.
Yeah, and
really quick, and if he can't, oh, he does.
Oh, yeah, well, making that a whole lot easier than I was about to explain how it could be, but under the road course rules, you get waved the blue flag. You need to move off the racing line, let the leader by, so very well done to the back marker there. You know, it's a very, very strange thing. It's a very odd thing to see in an official setting. You know, that's one of the main things you hear about on the Reddit forums, on the Facebook post. It's always the lap traffic. They're always ruining races. But here in the Tobacco Road Sim Racing Cup Series, these drivers doing a very good job. They are always clean, very professional, very respectable, but they are not afraid to get their elbows out and race. And we saw that last week at Kentucky.
We saw that last week at Kentucky. We saw it at Iowa. We saw it at Daytona. I mean, the list goes on. But, yeah, these guys, they're very clean. They've done a great job. You know, this being a new league, as last year was their first, I believe that was their first season. So this season, you know, they bring on Blake Cannon. And it's been great shows every night for sure.
Yeah, and something I wanted to point out, Blake Cannon last lap ran a 1:12.51. So a big second and a half mistake from Blake Cannon. Nate Lesko is right back on his heels. 16 laps to go. Only a half second separate these two drivers.
Yeah, just look at right there. You could just see the game of cat and mouse between Lesko and Cannon, and it makes me think back to Marcus Ambrose and Brad Keselowski a couple times here at the GLEN, you know, after Kyle Busch got spun out. On a Monday, Marcus Ambrose was able to take home that win over Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, very, very good little mini rivalry there. Just one chapter in the anthology of NASCAR rivalries. Nate Lesko going very wide out of turn one again. That time it's going to hurt him as he loses about 2/10 from doing that. So Blake Cannon able to keep it smooth, clean, and fast. He's now going to work on the back marker. That's Jonathan Pereira. Jonathan Pereira dipping off into the grass, and he's going to hit Nate Lesko. The back marker of Jonathan Pereira is going to just clean take out Nate Lesko in what feels like one of the most foolish moves I've seen in a very, very long time.
Yeah, and Pereira just came over to the radio, Mac, and he apologized. He said he was trying to get out of his way. Didn't mean to do it, so, you know, just a tough break for Nate Lesko, though.
Yeah, Nate Lesko, you can see coming up, he's prepping, he's setting the car, wanting to follow Blake Cannon into this bus stop. Here they come, and here comes Jonathan Pereira just in the grass. He was on the straight.
Oh, gosh.
He was on the straight 5 seconds beforehand. And we'll look back at Jonathan Pereira, and I think what the issue was, we'll play it in full speed for you guys. He wanted to dip off into the inside. Blake Cannon also moved into the inside, and I think it just scared Pereira. He dipped off into the grass, and the problem is he couldn't get the car stopped. He could.
But you got to look. I was going to say, but the thing is, you could tell that he was, I mean, those front brakes were locked up, but like you said, just couldn't get it stopped. But, yeah, tough break for Nate Lesko.
Very, very avoidable there. And now Blake Cannon, for all that it's worth, has 14 laps to go. He's got a 17-second lead over GT Irizarry. So Blake Cannon could run just over a second slower than he is now for every single lap, and he would still win this race. So Blake Cannon, all things considered, I don't want to be a jinx, but he has checked out.
Yeah, definitely. He is definitely gone.
And now we see GT Irizarry in that number 14 Ford Mustang. He will now have the mantle of P2. He sits 17 seconds behind Blake Cannon. It's only 3.5 seconds from him back to Brad Harris, however. And then another 3 seconds separates him and the 69 of Adolfo Castillo. So P2 and P3 are very much anybody's ball game as Brandon McLaughlin, the 81 in P5, comes into the pits.
Yeah, Brandon McLaughlin. You know, I found out that he's part of one of my buddies' race teams, Copperhead Racing. So that's definitely, you know, it was funny because Hunter Carlson was telling me, he was like, yeah, that's one of our guys. So Hunter's probably watching Brandon right here, cheering him on.
Yeah, very cool to see there. Another car, 48 of James Johnson. That Jimmy Johnson tribute scheme, the Lowe's, the classic Lowe's. I mean, it doesn't get any more iconic than that. He comes into pit lane. He's going to get some fuel. Will he get tires? Yep, he's going to get tires, I would assume, all 4. It's not like an oval where you get uneven wear. It's going to be pretty even throughout the entire compound of all 4 of your tires. James McRae in the 27 Cinema Roll Camry. He is currently sitting in P8 after starting this race P2. He was outside row number 1. He sits in P8. He will be hoping for a very big bounce back here. 12 laps to go, Emmett. If he's going to want to move, he's going to have to start now.
Yeah, he's going to have to get up on his horse and ride for sure. And but it's going to, and we're just being told Blake Cannon is pitting this time.
So Blake Cannon boasting that very impressive now 20-second lead. So we'll stay with him. GT Irizarry, who is 20 seconds behind, also needs to pit. So it's not like really anything's going to shift. We'll just have to make sure that Blake Cannon has a sound and safe stop here. He's going to have to go all the way to the end here at the GLEN, because he did indeed qualify on pole. Has an opportunity to lead every single lap here because GT Irizarry came in on the same lap. So your current leader outside of pits is Adolfo Castillo. You could see him there. I mean, he is still miles away from these guys.
Yeah, definitely. As we see, he's coming out of the S's.
And
As we
Blake
see
Cannon
leaving the pits.
Yeah, Blake Cannon already back on track, so we'll have to see. The big question now is, will GT Irizarry get passed by Adolfo Castillo? It looks like he will. Adolfo Castillo into turn 1. GT Irizarry.
Oh, he locked it!
GT Irizarry gonna have a whole lot more momentum, but he cannot get out at the time of Adolfo Castillo crossing. So the number 69 Camry for Quantum Motorsports is going to move up into P2.
Yeah, I mean, what a run from Adolfo. You know, like I said earlier, was a little mad on the radio after that wreck, but what a respawn if he's able to come away with this podium, or possibly, you know, if something happens, take home the win.
Yeah, he has got a big battle here that he's got to get through with the GT Irizarry. Blake Cannon doing fine. He's running good laps. We will update you if anything happens to him, but frankly, he's 26 seconds ahead, so he can wait. We've got a battle here for P2. It's going to be the 69 of Castillo with the 14 of Irizarry. It's going to be Camry versus Mustang. Something you don't typically see out in the road course racing scene. Of course, Toyota not having a GT3 in the IMSA or WEC spec currently. So Adolfo Castillo trying to whip this Camry. He's trying to give Toyota an advantage in that manufacturer war with Ford. GT Irizarry has a very good run coming up into the second straight here. And as we move into the bus stop, who's going to be on the brakes later? It looks like GT Irizarry is going to carry a lot more speed in. We'll see the gap shrink here if he did.
Oh. Yeah, definitely carried a lot of speed. But
yeah, and he's
you know,
here.
you're talking about, oh my gosh, through the carousel.
Side by side with Adolfo Castillo. GT Irizarry is going to stick it on the inside, and we're coming up to turn number 6. It's going to be the last opportunity for Adolfo Castillo to fight back here, but GT Irizarry gets a car length ahead. He's going to move over into that line, shutting the position off. Adolfo Castillo, he might have a run coming into turn number 1 if he gets a good run, but no, that's going to be GT Irizarry already gapping him. And Emmett, what a move from GT Irizarry.
What a move from GT to move into the number 2 spot. Like I said, Mac, if anything happens to Mr. Blake Cannon, these two are in a prime position to take home that win.
Yeah, very, very much so. And I want to go back and actually take a look at that. I mean, that was world class from GT Irizarry. You can see these guys.
Wow.
Look at him, just a little bit of a mistake on the side of Adolfo Castillo. GT Irizarry uses that, gives him just a tiniest bump to upset his momentum, shift the weight a little bit, and then it was just lights out for GT Irizarry.
Yeah, great job by GT. Now he's trying to catch it up. He's got 28 seconds to try to get back to the lead. Wow.
Yeah, Blake Cannon gonna have to have some sort of a big mistake if he wants to lose this race. But the way he's driving this car right now, it's not looking likely. Blake Cannon has your fastest lap. Or no, he actually does not. He has the fastest lap of all the active lead lap drivers, but Nate Lesko, you know, I hate to put insult to injury, but Nate Lesko was technically the quickest car out here. That makes what happened between him and Jonathan Pereira just sting a little more for that number 20 camp.
Yeah, definitely, because Nate Lesko, you know, like you were just saying, set the fastest lap of the race so far. And, you know, I mean, just Pereira just trying to get out of the way, locked up the front brakes, but not enough to get the car stopped. Got into Lesko and took Lesko out of the chance for this win.
Yeah, now Blake Cannon coming across the line. He is going to start his 39th lap here. 7 laps to go for him. GT Irizarry already building up a 3-second lead over Brad Harris. Adolfo Castillo had a little bit of a moment. We'll have to go back and take a look at that. Coming into turn number 1, and he's going to have a little bit of a spin. Man. He's going to be able to... Oh, he's going to hit the wall just a tiny bit. Yeah, so that's going to be damage on the side of Castillo.
How about Brad Harris running 3rd right now? Great job by Brad Harris, but yeah, tough break for Adolfo. You know what, Mac? I am not saying anything else about any driver from here on out.
Yeah, as we move into the final stretch of this race, we got 7 laps to go here. It's been very, very eventful, and look who has now crept into a top 5. The survival, the consistency of James McRae has been very telling here. We saw him towards the bottom half of the grid when Stage 2 got underway, Emmett. Now he boasts a very impressive P4 as commentators curse. He's going to take the grass. He's going to give the bus stop a little bit of a mowing, a little bit of a lawn trimming. But now he's back out on the track, and yeah, what's that mean for James McRae?
Well, it's big to boost his confidence and help him with his points, and you know that could have cost him trying to cut the corner. But I guess iRacing didn't think that he cut the corner, so he didn't have to yield at all. But it's really going to help him in the points, but. Sadly, he does not get to speak with us at the end of the post-race interviews.
Yeah, well, speaking of points, we'll take a look at your championship standings here in the Tobacco Road Cup Series. Travis Everett is going to be your leader with 141 points. A P10 finish would not be very good for him. James McRae Following very closely behind with 130 points, Jonathan Smith, which I believe is supposed to be Jonathan Pereira, is sitting in P3 of the championship with 121 points. And then you have GT Irizarry and Nate Lesko right there, P4 and 5. Big battle, but Blake Cannon in 8th with 106 points. A win here tonight's going to boost his championship dreams by a lot.
Yeah, and I just want to add, John Smith, if I remember right, he raced the first 3 races, I believe. So, because I remember he was at Kentucky. So I believe, Mac, that's a different driver.
Oh, yes, we see Jonathan Pereira in P19. So, yes, John Smith, of course, the number 47 Chick-fil-A Next Gen. How could I forget? He is not here this week. How could I? I think it was because I saw Jonathan and not John. I think that's what made me think of it. But, yeah, Jonathan Smith, of course. John Smith in the 47 Chick-fil-A Camry, I believe it is. Not here. Hopefully we see him next week. No, not my favorite. No, nope.
I know. You like that Louisiana fast.
Yeah. We got into that last week. 4 laps to go here for the likes of Blake Cannon. He is not slowing down. He's not stopping. 36 seconds to the good over GT Irizarry. We keep going like this, we might see maybe even up to the top 5 being lap cars. So very, very interesting. And as we get into the final little bit of this race, Emmett, when you've done so long, when you've done, 41 laps now, 42 is what these drivers are on. You're so close to the finish line. What are you telling yourself to get through it?
Just hit your marks. You almost feel like you have an out of body experience, because you're sitting there and everything just goes quiet. It's just you hear your car, but you're just sitting there and you're just, hoping to get through, just to hear that spotter or crew chief say, "Congrats, man, you won the race." And that's all you want to hear. You don't want to hear caution. You don't want to hear, how quick a guy's coming behind you, but that's what you just sit there and it just goes quiet.
Yep, of course. And 3 laps to go. Blake Cannon, he has got the whole world in his hands right now. All he's got to do is make this journey, this 3-lap trek to the finish. He's got to do it clean. He's got 37 seconds of lead to play around with. GT Irizarry also stretching out his lead over P3. Brad Harris, it now sits at 2 seconds versus what was 1.3 just 1 lap ago.
Yeah, Blake Cannon just doing an unbelievable job. And now Brad Harris, as this battle for second is really heating up now, Mac.
Yep. P4 is going to be James McRae in the 27 Camry. Adolfo Castillo also bringing home a top 5 for the Toyota Camrys. We've got 3 laps to go. It's not set in stone yet. Brandon McLaughlin is only 1 second behind, but the only problem is he's got the other Brandon Lopez, battling right behind him. So not only is he trying to maybe catch Adolfo Castillo for this P5, but he is also trying to defend his P6 position from Brandon Lopez. Brandon Lopez down into the inside, heading into the bus stop. It's going to be a very ambitious move. Brandon Lopez cannot get it done. I cannot blame him for not pursuing that. That would have ended in short chaos, but Brandon McLaughlin did leave the door open on the inside. Brandon Lopez is going to take it, and just like that, Brandon Lopez has overtaken Brandon McLaughlin and, more importantly, found himself a way into the top 5.
Yeah, Brandon Lopez boosted to the top 5, but I want to know what happened to Adolfo Castillo, because he just pulled off, Mac, and he was in the 5th position, so that damage could have played a factor and could have cost him that top 5.
Yeah, we'll go back and take a look. Adolfo Castillo.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, Adolfo Castillo had a moment here heading into the bus stop. We're taking a look at it now on your NEXUS Racer NEXUS replay. I apologize. And, yeah, he's just going to stop in the bus stop, and he's going to go to the pits.
Yeah, towed it to the pits. Wow. Oh, he just disconnected.
Very, very interesting moves on the half of Adolfo Castillo. Not entirely sure what has happened there, but all I do know is that we are on the white flag for Blake Cannon. It is his last time around, as he will take the bus stop for the final time. It's been one heck of a race for Blake Cannon. If I'm not mistaken, he led every single lap here tonight. If not, then there was probably only one or two he did not lead. But the number 44 driver, Blake Cannon, in that Chevrolet Camaro, he's only sitting in P8 in the championship right now, but this week is going to boost him, that is for sure. And if he can keep this form up heading into the halfway point of the season, it's going to be very tricky for anybody to catch him. Blake Cannon wins at Watkins Glen.
And I just want to add,
Go ahead, Emmett.
I was going to say, Blake Cannon came on. They told after the congratulating, and he just came on there. He's like, "Thank y'all." Just very professional. You'd think that he'd be hooping and hollering, being his first win in the Tobacco Road Cup Series.
Yeah, but he is here for championships, and so is that man right there, GT Irizarry. He's going to bring it home P2. Brad Harris now crossing the line in P3. James McRae makes it P4. And Brandon Lopez on a final lap overtake is going to bring home a top 5 for the number 5 camp. It's a very good night for him. Brendan McLaughlin just barely going to miss out with a P6.
Yeah, and I don't... there it is right there.
So very, very good result for the 44 of Blake Cannon. And speaking of, he is who we will bring in for our first interview of the night. Your race winner by a sizable margin, the number 44, Blake Cannon. Mac up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, man, I got you.
Well, you got to walk me through it, Blake. Did you get any sort of zone out or leader's complacency at all? I mean, walk me through how your frame of mind was structured, because, to be honest, you didn't really get contested at all this race.
Well, first off, I just wanted to shout out to Nate. Nate Lesko. He drove a hell of a race, and I feel bad that he got wrecked by a lap car. And I know the lap cars are doing all they can, so I'm not blaming on them. It was just a bad racing deal. But Nate definitely had the speed to contend with me. I think James was really close. It was just that restart crash got him. But the handful of guys tonight really did have the pace. It was just putting a whole race together, and that was something I was able to finally do uh, for once this year.
Yeah, well, we head next week. I'm actually blanking on where we head. I apologize. Next week.
Should be Texas.
Texas. You know what? I'm going with you. You're the winner. I'm going with what you say. So, yeah, heading into, whatever track we got next week, you're sitting in P8 in the championship right now. You honestly look like the fastest car out on track right now. Despite the slow start and maybe the late debut, are you going to try to pursue a championship?
Yeah, man, that's the goal. That was my goal coming in. I had a good second place at Daytona behind my teammate. Then went to Iowa and had some mechanical troubles, and really took me out of that race, which sucked. And then really had a good car at Kentucky. Just another mechanical failure took me out of that one, but was able to rally back to second. So to finally put together a race from start to finish, not have any issues, everything go my way. It really showcased tonight how good I can be when a race goes my way. But there's so many good guys here that when we go back to the ovals, they're going to give me a run for my money. So so it's a year-long deal. It's not, a win and you're in, and then when the playoffs start, then it's win in advance. It's year-long points. So guys like GT and Travis that scratch and claw week to week are going to be really hard to beat when it gets down to crunch time at the end of the year. So hats off to them guys, and hats off to everybody else in the league. But the goal is to go for the championship. Hopefully, we can pull that off.
Yeah, well, we're going to let you get out of here and celebrate. But before we do, I just want to ask, is there anybody you would like to shout out or thank for the performance here tonight?
Yeah, just everybody at LNG Power Sports. They've been in my corner, good, bad, and indifferent. They've been there from the start. So thanks to them guys for picking me up. It's been a blast running with them guys. And everybody at Tobacco Road Sim Racing, like a big family over there, and I really enjoy racing with them guys. And it's a really good group of people, even when we're not running league races. So thanks to them for welcoming me. Thanks to you guys on the broadcast. Really appreciate y'all taking times out of y'all's family life to do this for us. And Canon Creations. Shout out to my wife, and we'll see you next week at Texas.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the kind words, Blake Cannon, your winner here tonight. We'll let you get out and celebrate, but once again, hats off, and job well done for the winner here tonight, Blake Cannon.
Thank you, Mac.
And Emmett, I believe you are currently sitting with GT Irizarry.
Yes, GT, man, talk about your race. I mean, you're sitting right there. Lesko goes down. Now you move into the number 2 spot. What could you have done to catch Blake?
Started earlier. That's really the only thing we could have did. I mean, when we got on practice, they were talking. I was like, I've seen how he runs on the intermediate tracks and stuff like that. So usually when somebody runs that good, they're going to be good on road courses. Road courses, we just do okay. If I don't, trip myself, which I did coming at it, I guess turn 6 going into 7 right there. I hit the turtles and lost it and ate the wall. And sorry to Castillo there. I looked and I didn't see anybody coming, so I just tried to hurry up and spin it around, and I spun right in front of him. I mean, kind of a rookie move there, but I just didn't see him coming around that other turn. So it was a fun race, though.
So talk about, we head down to the Lone Star State of Texas. How you feeling about your chances to win there?
Well, to win, it's going to be stout no matter where you're going to go. My chances of running good or decent, I feel good about that. I'm more of a 1.5-mile track kind of guy. And Texas is one of those ones where you got to be patient to the throttle. And, I tend to understand that and try to stick down low. Whenever we run at these 1.5 miles, I'm always usually the one that stays low and everybody migrates up, and I just kind of stay down there. I'm looking forward to that. It's a fun track. I darn sure look way more forward to that than what we did tonight.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week at Texas.
Different guys. Appreciate you guys putting it on, man.
Oh, hey, before we let you go, sorry, I forgot. Is there anyone you'd like to thank out there?
I was going to do without you asking me. Yeah, Tobacco League. Appreciate the boys for putting it on. Once again, my apologies to Castillo. I didn't mean to do that to him. I hope he hopefully recovered and got a decent finish out of that. Congratulations, Blake, for finishing 2 days ahead of us, and my teammates for hanging in with me as well. So y'all have a good night.
All right. See you later, JT.
Well,
back.
Yeah, that's going to do it here for us, Emmett. I mean, it was a very, very fun show. Something, you typically see out of a Watkins Glen race. I mean, it is one of the best tracks on the iRacing official service, at least in my opinion. Very, very fun track. So we'll go through the results with you. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I apologize for that. We'll go over your results here for the race tonight. And it's going to be Cannon, Irizarry, Harris, James McRae, Brandon Lopez, rounding out your top 5. And then the rest of the grid goes McLaughlin, Lancaster, Everett, Thunders, Brayland, Castillo, Matthews, Chris Toppings, Jordan, Jonathan Pereira, James Johnson, Lesko, Gross, Joe Bonner, or Chris Perry in P19, I apologize, Joe Bonner and Thomas McLaughlin in P21. So, Emmett, it was a wonderful time, and as we head to the Lone Star State, I do apologize for that at the top of the broadcast. It said Bristol. We are going to Texas next week. So, heading to Texas, what do you expect to see?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. Actually been to Texas in IRL several times, raced it several times in the sim. It's going to be, that first corner, it's so wide. And then you go from the first two corners that are so wide, so elevated and banking, and then you go to turn 3 and turn 4, and it comes down just a little bit, but not as wide, so it's going to be real narrow. But yeah, Texas, it's going to be fun. Tire wear is going to come into play, and have to take you to Buc-ee's there, Mac.
Yeah, get some beaver nuggets, that's for sure. Well, that was voice of my broadcast partner, Emmett Crow. My name is Mac Nelson. We represent Racer Nexus Broadcast. We appreciate you guys tuning in and joining us tonight. Big shout out to Racer Nexus. I'm messing it up. Why am I messing it up here tonight? Shout out to Apex Sim Racing. Use code RacerNexus, 5% off. You get a little bit of kickback on those sim rig accessories that you purchase over there if you use that referral code, so we appreciate it a ton. Big shout out to Track Cams for Gourmets as well. That's trackcams22.com. They provide all the car and track cameras that you see on the broadcast tonight and throughout the entirety of the Racer Nexus broadcast network. It's been another Wednesday in the Tobacco Road Sim Racing Series. What's up, Emmett? I apologize.
You're good. I forgot to mention that Tobacco Road Next Gen Series is looking for race control. So if you're interested, get with Chris Toppings and Gary Braylon, because they said that they are interested in looking for race control.
Very good info. Thank you, Emmett, for that. Yeah, what he said. If you want to be race control for the Tobacco Road Next Gen Cup Series, you can find all the information to contact league admins in the description below, as well as ways to contact my boss man, Rob Campbell, if you would like your league broadcasted here. So very big shout out to those two links in chat. They will get you anywhere you need to go if it involves Racer Nexus or the league you just watched. So ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We'll see you next week.